Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to be starting the webinar on our HQ suite here in just a moment, so just hang tight. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Derek Eklum over here at Foundation Software, and I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar, where we like to do some educational webinars just to showcase some of the additional products and services that we've been working on here at Foundation. And as you can see here on my screen, today's topic is our HQ suite. For those of you that aren't aware, our HQ Suite is a web-based project management platform. So it's designed to be used out on tablets and smartphones, still can be done on computers too, but the idea is it's done outside of Foundation. So it's much more intuitive, much easier to use. It's not tied to an accounting system. So that's what our HQ Suite is all about. So what I'll do is I'll go through kind of a short presentation, kind of an overview. At the end, I'll pause for some questions, and from there, if you have follow-up questions, or if you want to set up a time to kind of review this online with myself, I'd be happy to help. So that's kind of an outline of what we're going to be working on today here. Let me kind of jump right into the specifics here. So yeah, our HQ Suite, first and foremost, is a web-based project management platform. The second point that I always try to make is that this integrates directly with your Foundation database. And it doesn't matter if you have Foundation installed on your own server there in your office, or if you're on our hosted service where we take care of everything from an IT perspective, it all works the same. This allows your project managers to create and review different job documents, run job cost reports, manage project schedules, all while staying connected back to the main Foundation system so that everybody's kept in sync. With the platform, there's three different parts to it. There's what's called ProjectHQ. That's probably the main part. That's where you get into different documents, being able to create different documents, document management, attachments, drawings, annotations, markups, things like that. In that section, you're able to create documents that'll push back into Foundation too, most notably change order management. That's what most of the companies are looking for when I initially talk with them on our HQ Suite. So that's ProjectHQ, document management. A second part, scheduling, is called CrewHQ. So if you're looking for project scheduling, resource management, employee notification, those are kind of the three big key bullet points, buzz phrases, buzzwords out there for that. And then a third part is called ExecutiveHQ. That is a reporting tool. The reporting tool allows you to run job cost reports. It's all the same data that's in Foundation. It's just done through the web, through a web-based app here. So that's, I guess, a little bit more in detail what our HQ Suite's all about. Now, the screen that you guys have been looking at here for a little while, this is an overview screen. So as a project manager, when you log in, that is an example of the view that you would see. It might not be the exact view. You can always limit, the way that the security works is you can always limit at the project or product level. So can they see all three items? Can they just see two? Can they just see one of the items, like just reporting, for example? And then underneath it, yeah, it is at the project level. So if you wanted to restrict what project somebody can see, like where, if they should only see Lake County Trust rebuild, the Turnpike job, and the GE maintenance job, you can do that. So there is a way to kind of filter out so that certain people can see certain pieces of information, or you could protect it from others, or I guess any of the above, kind of the main idea. So yeah, the overview screen, yeah, just has your most recent projects. There's documents where you can look at, overdue, upcoming, recent documents. There's a schedule overview, and you can always zero in on a particular job if you want to. There's a feature called action items, which is more of an internal assignment / notification system here in the suite. And then weather conditions, just informational, but if you wanted to see what the weather is going to be like here in Northeast Ohio the next few days, that's where you can see that. And then down the left-hand side, you have your main project HQ, schedule would be CrewHQ, contacts. So all the different people you're dealing with across the board. Reports, which would be more like lists and logs. And then you have setup, which is usually where you'd start from an overall onboarding of this, because this is where you get into creating different users and permissions, basically the security settings. This is where you're designing all of your different custom forms and templates. So as I'm going down through the different areas here in the HQ suite, just keep in the back of your mind that you can create your own custom forms, templates, fields. You can pull in your own PDFs and Word documents and merge in where the fields need to go for that. So a lot of customization that can come into play. But the other area here for integrations, just to kind of show you just an easy one-page view of all the different records that'll pull into HQ from Foundation. So when you create a job in Foundation, that can push into HQ. When you create customers, employees, and vendors, equipment items, inventory items, cost codes, cost classes, all of those can push into the HQ suite here. So it cuts down tremendously on the setup side. It's not like you have to populate the system all over again. It's going to pull in all those main records from your existing Foundation database. Now, the main part, backing up to here, of the entire platform, is ProjectHQ. Again, this is the document management part of the system. So this is going to show a list of all of your active jobs currently in Foundation. And then from here, you can select a job, and then it's going to drill down into an overview dashboard for just this Lake County Trust rebuild job. And on the main screen here, which you can get to from everywhere on the left-hand side toolbar, but there's an area to fill out daily log information, which this would pull in from Foundation. So if you're entering in time card information, or it pushes in from one of our mobile products, that can pull into HQ here. But otherwise, you can fill out information, produce a daily log that you can print or email out to somebody. A schedule overview for the project. Again, that kind of gets into the CrewHQ part. Email correspondence. So as you can see here, this would be the most recent email correspondence. You can also send an email from here as well. And for email, this would integrate or tie right into your Outlook or Gmail account. It would send right from your actual email address. That's how most companies would use email integration with HQ. And it saves a copy back here, just like these last two that I did, just kind of some sample ones. The other option, ProjectHQ, I guess think of it as kind of just ignoring your default email account and relying on ProjectHQ to come up with your own email. So it would be like Derek@hq.com. Most companies don't use that because they're going to use the one that most of their contacts are familiar with, which would be their, typically their Outlook email address. But yeah, email integrations, of course, is a big part of this. As it should be, being a project management platform, you're looking to be able to keep track of all the email correspondence. But then you have documents, action items, weather conditions based on the job's address. So yeah, just more of an overview and just kind of moving down through the different features here. Details, this is all pretty much standard information that would pull in from the job record when it's set up in Foundation. The one thing that's kind of neat here that I like to always point out is, I guess you can pull up a map, number one, but the other main reason here is you have the email address. So one thing that HQ is always going to do is it's going to create an email address for each project. So that can be handy if you ever need to forward an outside email to save in here. That's kind of where that would typically come into play. And then underneath that, you have a section for resources, which you have schedule, which I'm going to eventually get to that, but I'm going to kind of go through all of the ProjectHQ features first. The schedule would jump us out to CrewHQ. Underneath that, you have team. So just all the different people you're dealing with on the project, pulling from your larger list of contacts, which are going to pull from Foundation, being customers, vendors, and employees. But if you ever want to have a list, you can even assign out different project roles, and you can create your own. And then work management is where we start getting into different types of documents. The first is an action item. These, again, are more like internal assignments, reminders, notifications. Basically, you can set these up, assign them to a contact, set priorities and categories, and then keep track of once they're complete, or maybe if they're linked to a particular document, like if you want to create an action item tied to a request for change, you can always do that. These can be duplicated, so that can definitely help out. The whole idea, if you've got similar jobs, which is usually the case within the construction industry, companies are going to have jobs that are just naturally in the same scope of work, so you can kind of copy over these this to-do list here, these action items. Then you have AIAs, so you can always do this in Foundation, of course, but this is something that typically for our customers is handled out in the field by project managers, and then from there they can email this out, track back and forth the correspondence, and then what's nice is this is one of the types of documents that can sync back into Foundation. So the whole idea is to just cut down on the back and forth there. But otherwise, yeah, you can use this to create your billings. You can always create your own custom templates. And then daily logs, mentioned that a little bit before earlier on, but yeah, this is where you can always fill out information on your daily log. But yeah, this is, you can kind of go, I'll kind of show you, you can go into photos, upload a picture, document, and yeah, it would go right to your camera roll if you're on a mobile device. But yeah, pictures, drawings, documents. Otherwise, it can be a way to kind of capture additional information, like a visitor log, departure, just details. That's kind of the idea there. And then for documents, these would be documents that would just stay here in HQ. There's RFIs and submittals, which are called standard documents. There's user-defined documents, which can literally be anything. So the user-defined documents, where that typically comes into play is during that onboarding process. Once you go through the initial training and the how-to, and then you eventually get into the defining workflows and custom forms, that's inevitably where this section usually comes up. That's where they'll say, hey, what about, where can I create this or that? And the answer is usually you can create your own user-defined document, because you can create the full template, that you can create different entry fields, different drop-downs. But yeah, all documents, they're all going to be similar, where you can toggle by status up top here or do a keyword search. And then for all the documents from an entry standpoint, there's the ability to, of course, fill out details, that's where you can mainly control the customization, what shows, what doesn't show, what's required to be filled out, that kind of stuff. But there's also a way to keep track of manual correspondence, maybe different phone calls you had with somebody or discussions. As far as attachments and drawings, it's unlimited. It's all part of the HQ cloud. It can be any type of document. Like I've got a Word, I've got a PDF document, I've got a JPEG, Excel. So yeah, it can be all different types of documents there. And then for email, yeah, you can email any of these documents out. It'll also email any attachments that you want to include. You can choose to include only certain attachments if you want to. But yeah, this is a way where you can not only email out, but see what's been emailed or saved in the past. And again, there's a keyword search, and that would be just for this specific RFI here. But that's going to be consistent across the board for all of your different types of documents out there. The punch list down below there, pretty simple tool here, just where you can create a punch list, assign it out to different people, keep track of the progress, what's been completed. And again, you can always just double click everywhere throughout the platform. It's intuitive. You can double click, it drills right into it. Back arrows, saves, edits, things like that. But yeah, just pretty simple right there for punch lists. And then for cost management, yeah, probably the most popular part of the entire platform across all three modules or products would be right here. This is where it'll show you the budget information, which is all the same as what's been set up in Foundation. But mainly this is here if you ever need to modify the budget, adjust it. And that's where you get into change orders, which is this change management section. But through this area of the platform, the idea is you can create a request for change and send it out to the owner. And like here, I can always email this out. You can duplicate these two. Like I said, you can duplicate most documents throughout the platform here. But you can fill out the details. And just like that RFI we were on, you can always keep track of correspondence, attachments, emails. What's nice and kind of unique compared to maybe other project management platforms is because this is tied into foundation, it'll allow you to break out the job costing. So how is this affecting the budget? It pulls in your cost codes, cost classes. You can fill in the dollars, the quantities, the unit of measure, the bid amount. And then this, once it becomes approved, you can convert that into an actual change order. And then once it's an actual change order, you can push that into foundation. But that might not be the only instance where you might need an actual change order, quote unquote. You might need to create more of a, what we call it here at Foundation, an internal change order or an estimate change order. Basically, these would be change orders that are, they're not going to the owner, but you need to adjust the dollar amounts on the budget. So you might have to pull funds from one line item to another. Maybe you've got a variance or contingency code that you can adjust these dollar amounts from, or maybe you have a profit line that's how you do it. But yeah, basically anytime you need to adjust the budget, that's where you get into a change order here with Foundation. But those can also push back into Foundation. And yeah, you get some different charts and graphs depending on the screens that you're on too. And then the other item in this section is called committed costs. This is where you can create purchase orders and subcontracts, and it's all the same detail. If you get into inventory items, you can break out items, you're coding them out to different cost codes and cost classes. But yeah, you're creating purchase orders, subcontracts, or even change orders to those agreements on either side. And those will also update or sync into Foundation. And for all of the items that, and I don't know if I've said this yet, but all the items that will push back into Foundation, there's always a check and balance on the accounting side. So if you're on the accounting end of things, it's not like these are going to automatically save or post without somebody being able to review and go from there. But yeah, those are kind of the main types of documents you can create. And again, you always have the user-defined documents, which are really kind of a catch-all. And then at the bottom, collaboration. I kind of refer to this section as a digital filing cabinet. This is where you can go to retrieve all of the attachments that have been saved all throughout various places. You can create your own subfolders, even within a folder if you wanted to. And this is where if you ever needed to share or download, copy, and then we do have a new feature for document annotations and markups. So if you do need to go through that, you can. If you need to edit PDF, markups, add signatures, add verbiage, this is where you can always do that. Add text, add stamps. We can even allow you to create your own custom stamp. Have measurements where it can calculate based on different measurements on a form or a plan. This allows for layering too, where it'll kind of keep track of an audit history for an item. Who changed this document, when did it happen? You always have the original version, the revised version. So yeah, the whole idea with the document annotations and markups has been pretty popular since this was released here a little while ago. And then the other section here, mailbox. Just storing all of the emails across the board for this project. And yeah, you can always go down to a type of document. Like if I went to an RFI, then it would only show me emails tied to an RFI. There's keyword searches, and I can still do a new email right from up top here. So those are all the main core features of the ProjectHQ part of the platform. A lot that you can do here. You can always control security at this level too, so down to a granular level where if you didn't want somebody to be able to access AIAs, for example, you can always hide that off there. But yeah, this would be the main part of the platform. And then, as I promised here, let me circle back around to the CrewHQ, or the scheduling part. So this is a scheduling, resource management, employee notification tool. The way that this works is you have a list of all of your projects, and then next to each project, you can create a task and assign resources. And it's pretty simple. Like if I just go to today's date, I can double click, and then I can fill out the task description there. And the task description, if you want it to, you can pull from a drop-down list of cost codes on your budget. So that's kind of neat. That's something that not all scheduling tools can do. You know, this one being project-based, that's where that comes into play. But yeah, if you get into the dates, if you want to put in times, you can, or things like who was it created by or scheduled by. But then as you kind of walk across here, location, that'll pull from the job's address, but if you want to override that or even drop a pin in a map, kind of a neat feature there. You have resources. This is where you're assigning out employees, and you can see there, like Craig's already booked on the I-480 underpass job, so we can always take him off because he's already busy. But you can schedule out not just employees, but contacts, or maybe schedule by crew. You can schedule your equipment items. Kind of add a couple there. If you get into inventory, you can assign out or allocate parts as well. And then the other sections, there's a dependency. So if you wanted to connect predecessors and successors, you can, which is helpful if you ever move a task, it'll kind of drag the others with it. Custom fields, if you were going to tie it to cost codes in the budget, just miscellaneous notes. And then when you save this, what will happen is any of the employees that are assigned to that task, they will receive an email or a text notification. And then on top of that, the employees have an option to always log in online to pull up a calendar view, a weekly or a monthly calendar view. So I know that can be pretty helpful. So that's kind of the main idea with Crew. A couple little extra features up top here. You can always run this by, say, employee, equipment, instead of project. There's also some little buttons over here like a filter, map. This is kind of a neat feature where if you want to see on a map where your different projects are, in case you need to pull resources from one location to the next. Yeah, different dates or time frames, but yeah, that's kind of the main idea here with CrewHQ. Scheduling, resource management, employee dispatching, those are kind of the key terms there. And then the last part of our HQ suite is called ExecutiveHQ. This is the reporting tool. So what happens here is this will pull data directly from your foundation database. It basically gives your project managers and others on your operations side access to job cost reports without having to be logged into foundation. So, you know, again, if you're on the PM operations side, you can just be in the HQ suite doing what you need to do and handling business on that side, and not, you know, getting into the weeds on the accounting side of things. But yeah, the way that this is set up is you see grand totals up top here, and then down below you'd have a nice progress report, percent complete, over under report. In any of these columns, you can sort and filter. Like if I wanted to select there, maybe what might be more common is, you know, sorting by project manager, customer. But the idea is from here, if you needed to do a deeper dive, you can then select a project, and then it's going to pull up just a dashboard breaking down all the different moving parts and pieces of that particular job, where you have a pie chart breaking down by cost class, like labor, material subs. This bar chart represents estimate versus actual by cost codes. Over on the right, these are both targeting change orders. So this is change order by status. This is change order cost versus income. And then you just have a nice variance report here. It also has a column for committed cost, what's been invoiced against that agreement. And any of these charts, I can click and it drills into a more detailed report. I know the common one is always, you know, down here, you know, what makes up this cost number? Like, for example, like site prep, we're already in the hole. We can select that cost number, and then it can drill into a detailed report and lets me know exactly what's going on. That's the idea with ExecutiveHQ. It just gives you access to all this job cost information at your fingertips. Again, don't need to be logged into Foundation or anything like that. So that's our whole HQ suite. Yeah, the main part is going to be ProjectHQ, where you get into document management. Probably the most popular feature is change order management, but there's also scheduling with CrewHQ, and then there's also reporting with ExecutiveHQ. And we do try to be flexible. If you don't need all three parts, you could just add one part if that's all you need. Or if you want to add the whole platform too. Yeah, the only thing I think I'm forgetting, I guess, like, I don't know if I mentioned kind of an onboarding standpoint, you probably want to give yourself about a month. and usually half of that is covering basic setup with users and security and just navigation. And then usually you dedicate a couple weeks to customization, whether it's templates and forms or workflows, document types, things like that. And it's all supported by us here at Foundation. So we're all, the one, same big family, same number for support and everything else. So yeah, with that, I'll turn it over to you guys. If you have any questions, there's an area where you can type in questions on the GoToWebinar page. And if you do have follow-up questions or are interested in how we price this, which is, we always price by user. We don't price based on revenue or billings or volume. It is always user-based pricing. I can let you know that. But if you want more details on that or would want to set up a time to touch base, that's my contact information on the screen. Email is usually the best way to get in touch with me. Email is dke@foundationsoft.com. Phone calls are good too. It's 1-800-246-0800. It's just that I'm on and off the calls all day. So as I'm usually on the phone, I've got one eye on my email too. So that's why it's usually easier to catch me that way. But yeah, I'll kind of hang around. If you've got other questions, feel free to reach out. And we do have a question here. Does HQ work only with Foundation, or can it be standalone and then integrate with other ERPs? So it's made to work with Foundation. So that's where it's going to work the best. Do you have to have Foundation? Technically, no. I mean, I can tell you right off the bat, if you don't have Foundation, you definitely wouldn't add ExecutiveHQ because that pulls off a Foundation, but you'd still be able to use the document management part, creating these documents, tracking all the back and forth, the emails, all that. So yeah, that's what I would say on that question. And then question here, can you set up an automatic reminder for the PM to complete the billing? You can, yeah, because that's where we do get into notifications, and those are primarily the work of action items. So maybe you create an action item for a team member regarding a billing, and you set it to occur, have the due date occurring at whatever, the 20th of the month or whatever your billing date is. So yeah, you would be able to do that as well. And yeah, those are the only questions I've gotten so far. Oh, here's a question. How often can you push to Foundation? It's at any point, and it's real time. So as long as you have data or Wi-Fi, when you press sync, like with the AIA that I'm on here, when I go to sync, it's automatic. It's right that second. So you can do that at any point. And I'll hang on here. Let me pull up my information in case you do have some follow-up questions or want to kind of connect and touch base. I'll hang on for another couple minutes just to make sure everybody's got their questions answered. And then, yeah, question, can Foundation push to this software? Yep, definitely. It's so yeah, basically going from Foundation, and I really probably should come up with a flow chart. I think that'll make a lot of sense to pull up on calls like this. But going into, let me kind of do it here. So going into HQ from Foundation would be all of these main items. So jobs, customers, employees, vendors, equipment, inventory, cost codes, cost classes. That's all going to pull from or go from Foundation into HQ. That plus all the job cost information is going to populate the ExecutiveHQ part of the system. Now going back the other direction, that would be AIAs, change orders, and then purchase orders and subcontracts would go from HQ back into Foundation. So that's kind of the overall flow of how the data would work. And then another question about our old PM module. Yes, the question is, does this replace the old PM module? Yes, it does, 100%. So the old PM module, not a bad module. It's been dated for probably 10 years now. So our HQ suite, we actually started development on this about 9 years ago. It's been out for about 4 years now. Probably the last year is really the only time we've done quite a bit of marketing on it. But yeah, the HQ suite, will replace the project management module and the scheduling module back in Foundation. So that's kind of where that whole side of it's going to go. And then a question: does HQ allow foreman to enter time from the field? So it does not, and the reason being is we have other mobile products that do that. So you're not going to do time entry through HQ. We have, you might have heard of WorkMax by About Time. They're a Foundation product now, a family product, so they're under the Foundation umbrella. So the idea would be you'd use that to collect time, that would push into Foundation, that information would then push into HQ for review. So there's not a time collection tool within HQ, but there's a time collection tool that integrates with not only HQ but also Foundation. All right, I think everybody's got all their questions answered. But again, if you think of anything, that's my contact information. Email's dke@foundationsoft.com, or phone is 1-800-246-0800. And if you need anything at all, just feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help. And yeah, one real quick question here at the end. Anybody that even signed up for the webinar will receive a recording of this, so probably in a day or two. But yeah, if you need anything at all, guys, just let me know. But otherwise, yeah, have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. All right, bye-bye.